All right. So now Job arose and accompanied by 50 men. He repaired to the idol and destroyed it. Knowing that Satan would try to approach him, he ordered his guard not to give access to anyone, and then he withdrew to his chamber. He had guessed aright. Satan appeared at once in the guise of a beggar and demanded speech with Job. The guard executed his orders and forbade his entering. Then the mendicant asked him to intercede for him with Job for a piece of bread. Job knew it was Satan, and he sent word to him as follows: Do not expect to eat of my bread, for it is prohibited unto thee. At the same time, putting a piece of burnt bread into the hand of the guard for Satan. The servant was ashamed to give a beggar burnt bread, and he substituted a good piece for it. Satan, however, knowing that the servant had not executed his master's errand, told him to his face, and he fetched the burnt bread and handed it to him. Repeating the words of Job, thereupon Satan returned this answer: As the bread is burnt, so I will disfigure thy body. Job replied, Do as thou desirest. Do as thou desirest, and execute thy plan. As for me, I'm ready to suffer whatever thou bringest down upon me. Now Satan betook to himself and prayed him to put Job into his power. All right. So basically, you've read the whole story of in the King James Version Bible. Now, no one knew what this story was really about. This story was really about Job destroying an idol that Satan had a problem with, because these idols belongs to Satan. But yet you have Catholics today who are worshiping these idols, right? They're worshiping these idols. Look at this. So Job walked behind this idol over here that you see and asks himself, well, is this idol is the one that create? Well, for example, let me give you this one. Jesus Christ. Hold on a second. Is it this one? That one? Let me see. No. Anyhow, for example, yes, this priest kissing baby Jesus. So Job walked right next to this idol and he asked himself, is this the idol that created the world? When in reality, this is supposed to represent Semiramis and a child, right? So he went with 50 men and he took this idol over here that you see, that this false priest kissing, this false prophet kissing, and he's not even, well, he's not a prophet. And he took it and he threw it in the ground and he destroyed it. Now, this really angered Satan. Why? Because these idols belong to him. These idols are nothing but, how you say that, clay. That's all it is. Anyhow, I want to move on. I want to show you guys something else. All right, let me move on here. I want to show you guys something else, right? So going back to the legend of the Jews, I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to show you another thing about these idols that you guys are worshiping. Let me go to, hold on a second. Let me see if I can see if I can get it. No. Okay. Hold on a second. All right. So we're going to go to the 10th generation, the birth of Cain. And we're going to go to Enosh. All right. Enosh. All right. Let's read from the top. Enosh was asked who his father was, and he named Seth. We all know who Seth is, right? Seth is the son of Adam. The questioners, the people of his time, continued, who was the father of Seth? Enosh answered, Adam. And who was the father of Adam? Enosh answered, he had neither father nor mother. God formed him from the dust of the earth. But man has not the appearance of dust. After death, man returned to dust, as God said. And man shall turn again unto dust. But on the day of his creation, man was made in the image of God. So we look just like God, right? If you look at God, he looked just like a man. How was the woman created? Male and female, he created them. This is what the people ask. But how? God took water and earth and molded them together in the form of men. But how? Pursued the questioners. Enosh took 6 clods of earth, mixed them and molded them, and formed an image of dust and clay. But said the people, this image does not walk, nor does it possess any breath of life. He then essayed to show them how God breathed the breath of into the nostrils of Adam. But when he began to blow his breath, listen to this part, all right? When he began to blow his breath into the image he formed, the clay and the image of clay from dust that he formed, Satan entered it, and the figure walked, and the people of his time who had been inquiring these matters of Enosh went astray after it, saying, what is the difference between bowing down before this image and paying homage to a man? So Satan entered into this clay, right? So Enosh took a clay and he took some water and he formed a man to show you how God was forming Adam. And then Enoch, he went to the clay that he formed that looked like a man, right? And he proceeded to breathe on that clay, just like God, to give them an example how God breathed into that clay, right? Into the nostrils, right? So Satan, what he did cunningly, he went into that idol. Not an idol. It was just an example that I was just showing him. He went into the clay, and the clay walked. And not only did the clay walk, the people went after that clay after seeing that Satan, went into that idol, but they didn't see Satan went into it, right? So let me continue. So the people went and following after that idol and basically paying homage and worshiping the idol, right? The generation of Enosh were thus the first idol worshippers. So it was Enoch, the first generation that was idol worshippers. And the punishment for their folly was not delayed long. So the Most High did not take any long time to give them punishment for doing that. God caused the sea to transgress its bounds, and a portion of the earth was flooded. This was the time also when the mountains became rocks, and the dead bodies of men became to decay. And still under the consequences of the sin of idolatry. You see, the same way these Catholics will pay homage to a man. They say there's no difference. What is the what is the difference between bowing down before this image and paying homage? Right? Here it is. Your Catholic priest bowing down and kissing this idol worshiping. Here it is, Catholics over here bowing down to a statue. You could have called this statue Eve, the same statue that Enoch will form, right, out of the clay and all this kind of stuff. And he proceeded to breathe into it, and then Satan entered into that statue. The people didn't see Satan, of course, because he's a spirit. So, he started walking, and the people were saying, well, what is the difference between paying homage to a person and bowing down to the statue? So they did that. So they worshiped the idol. This is where the idolatry began, right? Now, so let me go back. Okay, so the Most High proceeded to punish them, and still under consequences of sin of idolatry was the countenance of the men of the following generation were no longer the likeness and the image of God. All right, so the countenance was no longer the likeness and the image of God, as the countenance of Adam, Seth, and Enoch had been. They resembled centaurs and apes, and the demons lost fear of men. Now, at that time, the people resembled centaurs and apes. Excuse me. At that time, the people, as a punishment, resemble as centaurs and apes. This is where these idol worshippers come from. Centaurs, right? Half horse, half man, and they look like apes, right? And the demons lost their fear of men. So the demons lost fear of men during that time. Previously, demons were fearful of men, but due to the sin of idolatry, right, they lost the brightness, the aura of God within them. So therefore, the demons, guess what? We're no longer afraid of them. But there was a still more serious consequence from the idolatrous practices introduced in the time of Enoch. When God drove Adam forth from paradise, the Shekinah remained behind, enthroned above a cherub under the tree of life. The angels descended from heaven and repaired thither in hosts to receive their instruction, and Adam and his descendants sat by the gate to bask in the splendor of the Shekinah, 65,000 times more radiant than the splendor of the sun. See, the Shekinah is more radiant than the sun. The brightness of the Shekinah makes all upon whom it falls exempt from disease, and neither insects nor demons can come nigh unto them to do them harm. So the Shekinah was a protection, right? So the Shekinah, those who were around the Shekinah, right? The Shekinah used to be this radiant type of light that would make people free from diseases. And no insects can come near them. Neither demons can come near them. All right. And do them harm. Thus, it was until the time of Enoch when men began to gather gold and silver, gems and pearls from all the ports of the earth and made idols thereof 1,000 parasangs high. What was worse, by means of the magic arts taught them by the angels Uzzah and Azazel, they set themselves as masters over the heavenly spheres and forced the sun and the moon and the stars to be subservient to themselves instead of the Lord. This impelled the angels to ask God, "What is man that thou art mindful of him? Why didst thou abandon the highest of the heavens, the seat of thy glory, and thy exalted throne in Arabot, and descend to men who pay worship to idols, putting thee upon a level with them? Thy Shekinah was induced to leave the earth and ascend to heaven amid the blare and flourish of the trumpets of the myriads of angel of hosts." So the Shekinah left when the angels asked, "What is man?" You understand? So these people were doing all types of sorcery back in those days. They have the sun, the moon. If I'm correct, was it the sun? Yeah, they had these, basically the sun and the moon, whatever, doing their will because of the tricks of the sorcery that Azazel taught them. So This is the origins of idols. I hope you Catholics do not worship these type of things anymore. Nonetheless, what most people don't know is that these idols have demons in them. All of them do. And when you're worshiping these idols, you also invite a curse to you that goes on all the way to the third and the fourth generation, as is it written in Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 to 5. All right. So hopefully you Catholics don't bow down and worship these idols and stop following these Catholic priests and totally leave the religion that you are involved in, which is the Catholic religion. All right. Have no image. Have nothing, no image at all. None whatsoever in your churches, in your house. Take down those images. No statues. Have none of these things at all. And for sure, don't bow down to them, neither pray to them. All right? Because you look at this. Look what these Catholics are doing. Bowing down to a statue, an image. They're guilty. And the sad thing, they don't even know it. All right. So I've shown you what are the origins of these idols, where they come from, how it began, and what exactly that you're worshiping. You're worshiping nothing but a stupid stone. Anyhow, this is my video. I'm out.